This is a demonstration of the Open Banking Accelerator. So this accelerator is composed of several different products. One of the main products is EBX, which is our master data view of all the products and banking accounts and customer details that we have for customers within our bank. So I'm going to log into EBX here. And we can look at the view of that using a standard data format that's based on the Australian CDR format. You can see here we can select banking accounts and see accounts that we have configured in here. We can view banking balances. We can view banking products and product details. And we can also look at common person, which is the customers that we have configured in here. We can also expose this information using TDV as well. So if I go into TDV Studio here, you can see we have a number of different virtualized views of the entities within the EBX database. And we've combined that with some data coming from third parties. So for example, merchant category codes or occupations from the ANZSCO organization. So these have been exposed using a virtual database. If I go over into Spotfire, we'll be able to look at the contents of some of these. So these fields here are being pulled out of TDV, EBX via TDV. And we also have a number of services implemented in here as well based on the Australian standards. So if I go in here and I'm using Postman as an example to pull the service details, I can do a get products call by sending a request. It comes back with all the products that we have configured within the EBX system. This is being mediated through a streaming service layer, but this can be done using any integration platform such as Flogo, TCI, BusinessWorks, anything that would support REST APIs. Of course, we can layer mastery on top of this as well, and that provides additional capabilities in terms of mapping of services as well as authentication. We can do get product details as well. These are unauthenticated services, so I can just go ahead and send this request in without any details. We have authenticated services as well. For that, I need to do a login. This has already been pre-populated with the login details here, which is a username password using basic authentication. I'll go ahead and send this, and it'll come back with an access token. So this access token is then required for subsequent calls. And the way this works in Postman is I go in and I set this variable in here, update it, and now I can do get accounts for the person that has been authenticated. So you can see here, these are all the accounts for Ian James. Likewise, we can do a get account details, and we can do get account balance. So we don't have any transactions in here at the moment. So what we have is a feed simulation that's available within streaming. And what we can do is we can send transactions through, and we will be able to see in real time as they flow through the system what's going to happen. So I'll go ahead and start this feed simulation. I've selected Ian here. He's the only person who's getting transactions. And we can see a current live view of his transaction cumulative transactions in each account. Also, you'll notice here there's some personalized offers and some odd transactions. So we have some additional higher order logic inside of streaming that's looking at transactions as they flow through. And we're looking at the context of those transactions and trying to determine things that might be of interest to this customer. So you can see here there's a personalized offer has been made to reduce credit card fees. And this is the offer that's been generated. So if I go into the artifact management server, I can look at a decision table that's being used to generate those offers. So this is a rudimentary offer management system. This would be a placeholder for what's called the next best action accelerator, which is another accelerator that we have that does a much more detailed job of doing this. But this is showing you a very basic way of doing this sort of offer management. So if I go in here, you can see if the customer has spent more than $1,000 with Qantas, we make an offer for a frequent flyer card application. And the example here is if the person has 3 or more credit and charge cards, then we offer them the ability to reduce their credit card fees. And this last one is a combination of if they have at least one term deposit and they have more than $10,000 in term deposits, then we offer them a better rate on term deposits. So we can see here we've triggered off 2 of those. We've triggered off the better rates and the reduced credit card fees in this instance. The odd transactions is looking at the transactions that they flow through the system, and it's analyzing them for the context of them being possibly fraudulent. And again, this is another placeholder for another accelerator we have, which is called risk management. But again, this is a rudimentary data model that's being done using PMML to compute oddity scores for these different types of transactions. So at the moment, the oddity scores for these are quite high, and these 4 transactions have been flagged up as possibly something that might require further investigation. We have another analysis that's used to generate that model, and here what it allows us to do is look at different types of transactions over time, and then identify a threshold where we might be interested in actually flagging them as being odd. So you can see all these transactions are proceeding here. The ones that are above the line are the ones that are ones that have computed as high oddity scores. And oddity in this case is a mathematical computation based on the details of the fields in the transaction. You can't physically point at a row and say, oh, it's because this person went and bought something here or here. It's actually a mathematical score. And this is just a way to detect fraudulent or unusual things that we've never seen before. This is called an unsupervised model. Again, the risk management accelerator goes through this in more detail. So in addition to this, we can go and look at our customer spend analysis. And we can see here, this is Ian's history of spend over time, over various dates. This is his spend in different types of categories, and spend by day of week, and then their location as well. The colors in this case are red there for debits, and green is for credits. So the other thing we can do with this as well is we can pull in product details from other banks. So if I go into my banking products in here in EBX, you'll see we only have about a dozen odd products here, and these are all the products for the bank that is running the system. So it's the TIB Bank company. There's an API available from various Australian banks that are using the CDR format. And what we can do is we can load third-party products from those banks and load them into EBX so that we can actually have a view of what our competitors are doing as well. So if I open a new browser here, and I'm just going to pull this link, which is actually just sends a request to the streaming engine to start pulling those products down, we can see the progress of that inside of this window here. You can see we're loading various products. At the moment, we're loading them from the Commonwealth Bank. There's 4 different banks that are being pulled from: ANZ, Commonwealth Bank, Westpac, and the National Australia Bank. But these products are then going to start getting populated within EBX. And if I just click off and click on again, you can see now we have more products, and we have some products from ANZ as well. It'll take a minute or two to run this so that all of the banks are then being populated, but now we'll have a full view of all of our competitors' products as well. And we can start to do analytics on this and try to examine ways that we can perhaps provide offers that would be competitive or of more interest to our customers.